Welcome back to the Playbook, you guys. We are here for the final Playbook of the 2025-2026 year. It's been a great ride. You know, me, Sienna, and Jacob here. But we have special guest, our Lacrosse beat reporter, Brennan Scutt. Brennan, welcome in. How you feeling today, man?
Hey, I'm feeling good. Ready to talk some lacrosse. Very excited. Yeah.
Yeah, glad you're here. Sienna, Jacob, how you guys feeling? One more Playbook. How are we holding up? Last episode here.
I feel so wonderful, Colin. Thank you for asking.
Of course.
Well, we just know I love speaking, so I'm absolutely devastated that this is the last episode.
Sienna, I know you're devastated.
Yeah, it's
And
really gonna hurt me to not be able to do this every other week.
I know, but just a few short months, you'll be back. In a few short months, I will not be back. This is my final episode of the Playbook before I graduate in 2 weeks. So we'll have a rundown of some spring football, some basketball transfer movement, lacrosse, some other non-revs getting ready to start their postseasons, and then, as we did last year, we have a game to end it off, a trivia game that Sienna has designed for Brennan, Jacob, and I. So let's jump right into it with spring football. As the cherry and white spring football game was on April 11th to close out spring practices, the spring camp session. Players are now gone until about June. It was when they report back, and then fall camp will start right around August 1st. So players have a couple months off. And the storyline of all spring camp was, of course, the quarterback battle. Johnny Shepard comes in from Washington State. Jackson Smollett comes in from Penn State, replacing Giovanni McCoy and Evan Simon. And they kind of went back and forth most of the camp. When we talked a couple weeks ago, we felt like Johnny Shepard had the better camp up until that point. Well, on April 11th in the spring game, it was really not debatable who had the better overall day. Jackson Smollett just dazzled out there, I think. He was 15 for 19 passing, 241 yards, and 3 scores. And conversely, Johnny Shepard went just 6 for 21 passing. They traded off drives each drive, so Jackson Smollett got the first drive of the game, and Johnny Shepard followed him. That went back and forth until the fourth quarter when they started subbing in some of the lower string quarterbacks like Cam Boykin, Brady Palmer, Brody Norman. So just overall, that was the biggest storyline of the day for me. Jacob, you were there as well covering it. Just looking at the quarterbacks, what are your thoughts there? Is that something you were expecting? I know we had talked about how Johnny Shepard looked smoother, a little bit better a couple weeks ago. So just overall takeaways from the quarterbacks.
Well, first I just want to preface by saying it's just April, but it did kind of surprise me how much Jackson Smollett outperformed Ajani, especially because, Colin, as you said, Ajani just kind of looked a little bit more in control of the first 2 practices. So for Jackson to really come out and just showcase his arm strength, his versatility, kind of like some runner, because I feel like they were rushing him a lot more as the game went on. So I think he handled pressure really well and just maximize what he had to work with, because it's worth noting that Colin Chase, Ramir Hardy, and Peter Clark did not participate. So Temple was far from 100% from its offensive weapons. So Jackson Smollett looked really good. And, Ajani, obviously KC still didn't name a starter.
Of course,
so
yeah.
We'll see what happens, as summer unfolds, entering August and stuff like that. But I think it kind of reaffirmed that Jackson Smollett is definitely in the lead for sure.
I think I agree with that. And again, Casey had talked about a couple weeks ago, a couple media availabilities ago, he wanted to name a starter a little bit earlier. Again, we weren't expecting to happen after the spring game. We know that's still very early. He said he wants to keep that competition going into the fall so they can keep pushing each other to improve. And again, fall camp's a long way away. This spring game was practically like a glorified scrimmage, glorified practice. You mentioned Colin Chase, Peter Clark, and Ramir Hardy all not playing on offense. Colin Chase had a bang up a bit of a hamstring. Peter Clark had a club on his hand for the last couple weeks of practice. Had a wrist wrap on throughout that scrimmage as he was on the sidelines. And Ramir Hardy got concussed, so they all didn't play, as well as Curly Ordonez and Javon Brown not playing on the defense as well. So injuries on both sides, which is why you can really take this with a grain of salt. But I think another big takeaway for me from this spring game was the weapons, the wide receivers in place of Colin Chase, Peter Clark, and Ramir Hardy. Jojo Bermudez, we know what he can do. He was in a gray jersey, which meant he couldn't be tackled. He was really kind of playing two-hand touch with him. He had 3 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. Xander Baptiste, a former walk-on, or might even still be a walk-on, he got some playing time early, and frankly, one of the guys that kind of caught my eye. He had 3 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown. And DeMonte Green had 4 catches for 40 yards as well. So really that wide receiver depth kind of stepping up. So, Brennan, I'll throw this over to you for your little Playbook debut here. These wide receiver weapons, it's important to have this depth. Temple struggled with injuries in the past. Joe Ramirez was banged up a little bit last year. Colin Chase was a little banged up last year. Again, it's just a spring game, but seeing this depth kind of come out here and impress a little bit, Brennan, how important is that for you to see guys like DeMonte Green, Xander Baptiste, show that they have some ability, some connection with these quarterbacks?
Yeah, it's awesome, Colin. I mean, you truly never know when you're going to get thrown into the fire during the regular season. So just to see some of these guys come out here, with maybe some less experience, get out there, make some plays for Smolik and Shepard. It was good to see, and obviously you do still have JoJo Bermudez. He's going to be the guy this year along with Chase. This team has depth, and I think that they can really be a force to be reckoned with in the American this season.
I totally agree with you. And it's even worth noting that Jace Freeman, the bigger wide receiver they brought in to replace Kajaya Holloway, had one touchdown, had another taken off the board that was thrown to him by Jackson Smolik, but they ruled it dead off of what would have been a sack. The defense struggled, and in the post-game press conferences, Casey talked about and Jalen Joseph talked about how the offense and defense kind of traded days throughout practice, and this spring game, the offense got the defense, and that happens, in practices. The defense might have struggled, especially in my eyes, kind of like the cornerbacks, and that was kind of a question coming into this. The cornerbacks picked up a couple penalties throughout that game. Were tailing the wide receivers a decent bit. And yeah, that's a position where they really went mostly JUCO guys, relying on returners, didn't bring in many transfers. So it's kind of interesting to see how that position group grows. But for me, I think one thing that looked good was the safeties. And an overall thing for me is I think this team looks much more, talented and athletic as opposed to last year's team. I mean, Colin Dinkins and Sabor Kareem in that defensive backfield they look like just much bigger athletes, much stronger athletes. They were flying around the field. Colin Dinkins was particularly impressive for me. Jalen Joseph, the edge rusher, drew a lot of high praise from Casey Keeler's a guy they just could not block throughout camp as well. So just overall, Jacob, Brennan, biggest takeaways. No, let's not go to the biggest takeaways. Let's go now heading into the summer. We are a couple months away from fall camp. There's still so many questions. We won't be talking to you guys again. Playbook's going to be done until September. Once that fall camp starts, I'm not going to let you guys talk about the quarterbacks here. What's something you're going to be looking for once this team is back in camp in August?
I think I'm going to go the running back room because we didn't really touch on it too much. I've been a big Sam Brown guy all spring camp, and that hasn't changed. He didn't have the greatest showing. He had 5 carries for 22 yards, but did have a 20-yard or 25-yard reception, I'd say, off a little dump-off pass from Jackson Smolik. So that was notable. He's just really physical and can burst off for big gains with those inside runs. So like him a lot. Kevion Mason, Hunter Smith. I think Hunter played a snap or two on Saturday, and Kevion Mason didn't play too much. RJ Blunt too. There's a lot of variety there, and I'm just really intrigued by the running back depth. There's so many weapons with this offense, and it's not directly about the quarterbacks per se, but so many wide receivers. Again, only April, so the production we saw on Saturday may not translate, but I'm really interested to see how the offense, especially just Smolik, whoever's in charge of quarterback, can kind of manage having so many offensive weapons, especially with them not being too experienced.
Hey, Brandon, anything you want to add for what you're looking for?
Yeah, I'm still going to be looking at the quarterbacks here. Jackson Smolik was a guy at Penn State buried in the depth chart behind Drew Aller and Ethan Grunkmeyer. He's finally able to showcase his talent here, and I do truly think that this could be the guy this year for Temple. Ajani Shepard's going to give him some nice, healthy competition as well. They have 2 freshmen coming in, kind of pushing that tempo a bit. But there's a phrase, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. So I do think that, Temple kind of ran that last year with McCoy and Simon. I do think I'm going to be looking at that quarterback room all summer. So
I like that. Even though I did say I'm going to let you talk about the quarterbacks. But you know what? We'll let slide. It's your first Playbook episode here, Brendan. So no hard feelings. A great breakdown again. So that's going to put a wrap on spring football. Sienna, I'll spare you from the football talk over there. I know you don't. I know you love talking about football, but we'll spare it here. So again, that wraps up spring camp for Temple. They'll be back for fall camp sometime in the beginning of August for what could be a pretty exciting 2026 season. Well, let's move over to lacrosse. Brennan, this is where you've been covering the team for much of this spring season. And last time we talked to you guys, Temple was skidding. They had lost 4 straight. They were, frankly, really questionable to even make the American Conference tournament. And we were sitting here debating scenarios of, okay, how do they get in at this point? Because they were 0-3 in conference and really needed wins bad. And last 2 games, they have gotten those desperately needed wins. They handily beat Old Dominion 17-7, and then turned around and beat a previously unbeaten in conference Vanderbilt team to move to 2-3 in the American. Again, that Vandy win particularly impressive to me because they were unbeaten in conference action. So, Brennan, I'll just throw it over to you right now. Temple's 10-4 and 2-3 in the American. Just what have you seen recently from this lacrosse team these past couple games as we head down to the true finish line of this season here?
I think they've been playing more complementary lacrosse. I mean, I look at the couple of games they lost. The defense wasn't good. They let up 17 goals to Rutgers. You're not going to win that way. This is a team that has been also scoring now. Lexi Kolb, Sabrina Martin. I mean, it's a really good lineup out there. It's a fun team to watch. It is just very fun, and I'm really looking at them to just finish the season strong here. I think goaltender Riley Horoshko has been just playing out of her mind recently, and they're going to go as far as she can take them.
Yeah, and this team's overall been, you said impressive this year. Again, we think back to last year, they won just 4 games, so it's already been an improvement this year. And they're 2-3 in conference, just right now puts them in 5th. Top 4 teams make the American Conference tournament starting in a couple weeks. Temple has just 1 conference game left against Charlotte coming up this coming Saturday. Their last game of the year is against Drexel, a non-conference game, so that won't really have much weight unless it's for a record tiebreaker, which they hold more wins than both teams are going to be around. They're a half game back of East Carolina currently. ECU is 2-2 and 6-7 overall. They already lost to East Carolina, so they don't hold the tiebreaker there. So they want to jump ECU. They need them to lose each of their last 2 conference games if Temple beats Charlotte. They're also within shouting distance of Vanderbilt, who's 3-1, still has 2 conference games remaining. They already beat Vanderbilt, so they would hold that tiebreaker if both teams end up at 3-3. So it's still a very, very good possibility Temple gets in to the American Conference tournament after missing last year. But they're going to need a little bit of help regardless. But it all comes down to them beating Charlotte, who is just who's 1-3 and 6-7 overall. So a game that you feel like they can win, but again, nothing's really a given in lacrosse. So we'll see going forward for this team. Brennan, got anything else to add for the lacrosse team?
Yeah, just been an interesting road for them this year. I think it's going to be very interesting how they navigate these last 2 games of the season, especially the conference game versus Charlotte. It's a game that they know they need to have if they want to make the conference tournament. You're going to really hope for them to come out there, really apply the pressure early. When they do that, they're successful. They do not play, no team plays well necessarily from behind. I know they had that outlier game versus Delaware in the first game of the year, but if they get off to a hot start, I do see them taking that game for sure.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And stay tuned for Brennan's coverage going forward. Again, we're not going to talk to you guys again before lacrosse season ends, but we're going to keep coverage going until the end of the lacrosse season. So stay tuned as this team makes a push for the American Conference tournament. Let's move over to basketball and the transfer portal. The last time we talked to you guys, there was not a lot of movement yet, but the portal had just barely opened. All we had seen so far for happenings was Jaleesa Molina and Cheyenne Swain Price entering from the women's side. Nobody entering from the men's side yet. Well, since then, we have seen a whole lot more movement on both sides. The women's team lost Drew Alexander, Savannah Curry, Brianna Mead, and Killian Sedano all to the portal. Really, the biggest loss there is Savannah Curry, who started most of the games as kind of a 3-and-D wing. Struggled a bit with her her offense and struggled with turnovers throughout the year. But when she was on, she was a really strong option. She was a 3-point shooter and an excellent defender, constantly praised by head coach John Richardson for her defense. So that loss is kind of tough. And then Drew Alexander, Brandon Mee, and Killian Sedano all were kind of like the bench guards where we were kind of waiting to see if one of them became that spark plug. And Drew Alexander seemed like she had some moments where she was going to be that spark plug, but just never found that consistency. Same went for Killian Sedano and Brianna Mead. They all had moments where it felt like they were going to be that Kayla Turner-esque spark plug like Kayla was her first year here at Temple, and it just never worked out. So those 4 players all entered the portal on top of Jaleesa Molina and Cheyenne Swain Price. In turn, Dimerson and staff have made 2 additions from the transfer portal. First, they came within the matter of hours. First was guard Shayla Smith from Penn State. She's a freshman from Penn State, spent 1 year with the Lady Lions, and one of the greatest high school players in Philadelphia basketball history. She is the all-time leader in points for Philadelphia high school basketball for boys and girls. She is She led Auden Reed, Universal Auden Reed Charter to three public league titles. Just an overall legend in the city of Philadelphia. She did not play much at Penn State, a year where the Lady Lions were really not great, and then fired their head coach. Averaged 2.6 points and 2.6 rebounds across 20 games. And I don't think she did not score after, I think it was December 31st, she failed to score. So really her role kind of went down as the year went on. So she replaces one of those guards. And then they added another forward from Arizona State, Timea Grice. Again, just a couple hours later, she announced her commitment. She only played in 8 games last season as a freshman, but she's 6'5". She has a ton of upside and is another really big body in the post. So, Jacob, I'll start with you here. Thoughts on these two additions? You know, they really two unproven ads. We saw last year, I think they went the route of the more mid-major players who put up good numbers. This year, the first 2 ads are high major players who didn't play a lot, but man, do these players have some intriguing upside to them. What are your thoughts on these 2 additions so far?
It's definitely an interesting switch from the approach. I think not necessarily Tamia herself, but what her addition means to Temple's front court rotation. They have a lot of versatility now because while their backcourt is kind of taking a big hit, yes, they lost Jaleesa, but they still have a lot of options forward. You have Ariana Merity now, Tamia Grice, Felicia Jacobs, and Anastasia Bolanova. And the team was really high on her, but unfortunately she suffered an injury in the season. But still, I think there's definitely potential there. They just have so much depth. Chloe Miller, too. Sanaya Craig, obviously. So I'm interested to see what type of rotations Diane Richardson can kind of cook up because we saw with the depth last season, or lack thereof, she wasn't really able to find a consistent, core 7 or 8 even. So that's going to be cool. Shayla Smith, like you said, didn't really get much of an opportunity at Penn State, but with how depleted Temple's guard depth is, I'm definitely interested to see what she can do here. That's because the team really lacks a backup point guard at this point. Killian transferred, Brianna Meade transferred, Drew transferred, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity for her to succeed and really get those reps that she didn't get at Penn State last season.
And Brian, I'll throw it over to you if you have any thoughts about these 2 additions as well.
Yeah, I think losing Jaleesa Molina, that took a really big hit to Temple's height as well. I think picking up Grice was such a huge move. I mean, you need rebounding to win games here, and I think that losing Molina, it stings. There's no beating around the bush there. But if they're able to get some of her production back with Grice, I do think that they'll be a solid team. I'm looking for, like you said, backup point guard. You're going to need that. Point guards win games. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what Diane Richardson squad can do.
Did you want anything to?
No.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I mean, I agree with both of you guys. The Timea Grice edition for me, that they have a lot of options in that front court now, especially with, Anastasia Bolanova is essentially going to be another addition to that front court too because she tore her ACL before the season started. And now you have so many options up there. But for me, I look at Shayla Smith as someone who can score, and we know she can score. And you guys kind of mentioned a backup point guard. I think she might fit better on a wing as kind of a little bit of a bigger wing. She's 5'9". She can, again, really, really score, rack up points. Maybe being back home makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. Again, we saw they lacked that scoring on the wing last year, like what Tiara East and Tariana Gary were 2 years ago. They just didn't have that this year. And I think she can be one step towards making that, make those wings a little more, scorers and, a little bit bigger part of the game plan there. And they still need guards. They definitely still need guards. So right now it's just Shayla Smith, Tristan Taylor, and Kayla Turner. So they still need some guard depth for sure. Again, the transfer portal is still open. It will remain open for the women's team until April 20th, so 6 more days for players to enter or leave. So Temple could still see some of those forwards enter. It's not closed yet. But as of right now, 2 good ads to start. And on the men's side, the men's portal is officially open until April 21st, so 1 more week. And they've gotten hit hard by the portal. Aiden Tobiasen, Babatunde Duradola, Jemai Felt, Spencer Mahoney, and the fan favorite walk-on Connor Gall all entered the portal within the last week. Aiden Tobiasen obviously hurts the most. He was their second leading scorer, a guy who made that freshman to sophomore year jump, averaged 15 points per game. He committed to Syracuse just the other day. So again, that's an unfortunate loss, but I don't think an unexpected loss. And then Babatunde Duradola, he started every game his freshman year, the first freshman to do so since Lavoy Allen in 2009. Eventually was moved to the bench for Jemai Felt after 8 or 9 games. But we just see neither of them really I think, made the impact we expect him to make, especially Babatunde Duradola, just with his foul troubles. And then Spencer Mahoney and Connor Gall didn't play much. So, Sienna, we'll bring you in here to kind of give a little bit of insight about this men's team. Right now, it's just Gavin Griffiths, Cam Wallace, Ayuba Bryant, and Mo Keto remaining right now. So, there's still a week remaining until, the portal closes. Sienna, let's bring you in here and give us kind of a rundown of what this team, what these losses mean, how important it is now to just try to retain the guys that are left.
I think retention is the most important thing with the guys they still have remaining. I think the last playbook, I want to say we each asked who is most important for the men to stay, and I think we all said Aiden, Baba, and Jemai, like a combination of at least one of those three. And the fact that all three are gone, I think, is very, very problematic. Obviously, there's still time to fill the roster, but Baba and Jemai, like you mentioned, they didn't really have the production that we expected, but they kind of figured out their rotation, and big men are expensive in the transfer portal. So having two who were already established with the coaching staff and Philly and Temple was huge. So not having them and not having Aiden, who was, basically like their player, like their star player, I feel like the team kind of really crumbled with just those three departures.
I completely agree with you. And, Jacob, you got something to add over there?
I just want to say my heart aches for Gavin Griffiths because a lot of his success was off of the gravity of Aiden, Jordan, Darian, all guys who won't be here anymore. And not to say Gavin Griffiths isn't a good on-ball scorer, but probably 99% of his shots came off of spot-up threes or cuts or lobs. So, not having a backcourt right now, I'm really worried about how he is going to do next season. Obviously, they'll retool. They'll get some more guards. But, it's kind of just a problem you encounter when, so many guys leave for certain reasons, whether it's graduation or just trying to seek another opportunity, that you kind of have to keep retaining and just hope you strike gold. You're going to have to hope to get another Darian Ford, another Gavin Griffiths, et cetera. So, men's team is definitely in the tough spot for sure.
And that's just the current stage of college basketball at this point. You're going to be retooling every offseason, and it's where they are again, and it's where they're going to – most teams are right now. So, again, right now, just Gavin Griffiths, Cam Wallace, Ayuba Bryant, and Mo Keita are currently on the roster. They also have Derek Morton-Rivera as an incoming freshman from Father Judge, and the next couple weeks will be just retooling the backcourt, adding some more big men, and giving it a shot again next year. So, stay tuned for any coverage for transfers coming in. Let's move on to some of the non-revs who are closing out their spring seasons, such as men's and women's tennis, who are starting their postseason on April 16th down in Houston. The men's they both wrapped up their spring seasons this past week. Women's went 9-9, and men's went 8-9. The women's are the 9 seed and going to play UAB in the first round, while the men are the 10 seed will play FAU. So stay tuned for a little something coming from Brennan in the next couple of days about what to watch for the women's tennis team down there. Golf also closed out its spring regular season with a 10th place finish at the Princeton Invitational. One kind of big standout for there was Mason, I might mispronounce this, Mason Tomei, who finished tied for 4th, shooting a 1 over for the event. No Masters, but no Rory McIlroy, but impressive performance for Mason Tomei. And then crew and rowing, continuing their spring seasons. Crew defeated number 24th ranked UC San Diego at the California Classic on April 4th. And the Varsity 4 boat earned gold at the Connect Cup this past weekend. And rowing won all 8 races in the Old Dominion Duels on April 4th. And then at their Connect Cup, the second Varsity 4A boat took the gold medal in the grand final, while the second Varsity 8 took silver in the grand final. But, so that kind of wraps up where the current Temple Sports are at. Brennan, Jacob, close your computers. It's time for Santa to take over. It is trivia time. I think we should do the same thing where we raise our hands if we have the answer. Ari, you're going to have to be a judge over there. If it's too close,
I'm going to get really mad.
Determine who got their hand up first, because this has been a big problem in the past. So we got the trivia here to close out our final playbook. Run us through kind of what you have in store here for this trivia, and break down some rules for us. We gotta get these rules down.
Yeah, so instead of doing some homework that I have to do this morning, I spent the last 3 hours making this game. It only took 3 hours because I made lunch in the middle of it. It didn't take me 3 hours to do this.
How long did lunch take?
like 2.5 hours. Like lunch was most of it.
What did you make for lunch? That took 2.5 hours.
Jacob?
I just kept getting distracted, and then I was on the phone. It was a whole day.
Well,
Anyways,
what did you make for lunch? I'm still
pasta.
curious.
Alfredo,
Nice.
Yeah. So I have a little trivia game. Everybody, once I read the question, raise your hand. Whoever raises their hand first, I will call your name, and then you can answer. If you get it right, you get a point. The winner, I will buy lunch.
I need it.
You don't need it.
No. Oh,
Wow.
wow, Sienna.
In the sense that you don't need me.
No,
it's already out there.
No.
That did
That's
sound
already
out there.
crazy.
No, that's out there.
I meant in the sense
That's
that you
out
don't
there.
need me to buy you lunch.
On the record here, Sienna thinks I'm fat.
Sure. Okay. Raise your hand if you know the question. Okay. Who had the most tackles this football season? No.
Curly Ordonez.
Oh,
Cancel Jacob right now.
Who on the men's basketball team played the most minutes? Brennan?
Darian Ford.
It's not.
You gotta no. Okay.
Yeah,
If
you
you
can't-
raise
you
your
have
hand,
to-
you gotta
No, I do
have
not,
the
I do
answer
not, I do
ready.
not.
No,
You
no,
raise
no.
your
We're
hand,
not
you have
gonna.
to answer
We're
right
not
away.
doing this
Okay.
BS where you raise your hand and say you got it.
I got it. Jordan Mason.
No.
Damn it.
Aiden Tobias.
Yeah.
Oh.
So those three each had more than 1,000 minutes. Aiden had 1,130 minutes. Darian had 1,108 minutes. Jordan had 1,076. So good answers for all three of you. Okay. What was the big deal about Temple women's basketball's 83-82 win against Charlotte? Call.
It was the second biggest comeback in NCAA women's basketball history.
It was, yes. It tied the second
They're
largest
tied.
comeback.
26
They're
points.
22 points.
Oh, 22 points? Oh, well, still got the point.
Still got the point. Still impressive.
Thanks, Jacob.
Oh, bonus question. Who scored a career high in that game? Yeah.
Tristan Taylor.
Yeah. I don't know why I was mixing that up for a second.
Wait. I thought it was Sav.
No,
No.
Tristan
No?
like
Oh, it
32.
was the
Yeah,
se-
she
it
had
was the
32.
second. It was the second Charlotte game that was Sav. Second Charlotte game.
How many players scored in Temple Lacrosse's 19-2 win against Delaware State? I don't know who raised their hand. I was staring at my notebook.
I think it was me. It was
No,
me.
it was me.
No, it was not.
It was
I had
me.
my hand up first.
It was me.
I'm gonna say. I feel like I put this in the gamer.
I feel like
11.
That's how I remember. it.
Close.
7.
You got it.
8.
It's higher.
Back to me. 10.
It's higher than.
Oh, I thought I meant higher.
No, sorry. I meant the original answer.
13.
Yeah. You've guessed so many times, though. I'm not counting that.
Loser.
If it goes through everyone, I'm not counting it.
You're a loser.
Which men's soccer player scored the first goal this season?
Oh my.
Paulo Campula.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Paulo Campula.
What's the
Respect,
score?
Jacob. Respect.
Colin has 3, Jacob has 2, and Brennan is trailing behind. Me too.
Was that your like nice way of saying 0?
Yes. I had something in my head I was going to say, and then I immediately forgot it. So that's what happened there. Okay. Which team did the women's soccer team break its 37-game conference losing streak to, Brennan?
Memphis.
Charlotte?
UAB.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you
I
actually
wrote that
remember
game. I wrote that
Did you
game.
actually?
I wrote that game, yeah.
That wasn't Payad.
No, that was me.
Oh.
I wrote that game.
Remember what I did in the Soch?
What?
Remember what I did in the Soch?
The Soch? No.
Yes, he put it, broke their, oh shoot, what was it?
I think it was
Is
stabbed a
there-
3-game losing streak.
Yeah, instead of their
Oh.
conference losing streak. It was something like that. I was like, hey, Jacob, so that's not actually the most important thing at all. Okay, who scored the most for Temple football?
Peter Clark.
JoJo Bermudez.
Nope. Go again. Everyone gets another go.